was quiet, holding breath. Dust in the light, the edge of a step.
Time leaned closer, then stood still, as if it knew this moment mattered.
No grand words, no promised skies, just steady hands, just honest eyes. Outside the world kept rushing past, inside forever learned to wait.
We didn't stop the clocks that day, we only changed the way they ticked. Before the world moved again,
we stood between the then and now. Every sound fell into place, every fear forgot its name. Before the world moved again, I saw my life begin in you.
old songs echoed through the walls, footsteps soft in borrowed halls, laughter folded into tears like film rewinding through the years.
Nothing holy, nothing stays,
just two hearts brave enough to stay.
before the world moved again. We held the edge of something new, no direction, no escape, just one truth coming into view. Before the world moved again, I knew this moment would remain.
If time should blur,
Time should,
if days run thin,
days run thin,
let this frame keep burning in.
rain and shadow,
Light and sound,
proof that love was
here and found. Before the world moved again, we were more than chance could plan. Every step we take from here still begins with where we stand. Before the world moved again,
we chose each other.
then began.
The room exhaled, the moment passed, life resumed its forward cast.
But somewhere still, in silent flame, the world has never moved the same. The room was full, yet something hushed, like air before a sudden rain. Chairs aligned, a quiet rush, every sound felt carefully placed. No speeches carved in golden lines, no heavens promised overhead, just your hand fitting into mine like it always knew where to rest. Noise of life fell out of frame when you looked at me that way. They call it love, but it felt stillness right in the middle of the day. While the world kept spinning loudly, we found a softer way to stay. They call it love, I call it this, a moment time refused to break. Old walls watched us choose our side, footsteps echoing fast and slow. Every past goodbye arrived, then quietly let us go. No rules written, no vows rehearsed, just a future daring to start first. They call it love, but it felt like stillness, a held breath before the sound. All the years that shaped our faces finally settling down. They call it love, I call it home, before we ever turned around. If the days begin to blur, if memories trade shape and tone, let this frame remain unburned, proof we stood here on our own. They call it love, but it felt like stillness, not empty, just complete. Two lives stepping out of motion to choose the same next beat. They call it love. We simply stayed, and it stayed with us. The room breathed out, the moment passed. Footsteps found their pace again, but somewhere quiet and intact, stillness learned to say our names.
Morning light on borrowed floors, footsteps counting something new. Every door we passed before led us quietly here to you.
No bells rang, no names were sworn, no script to guide what came to be. Just a pause the world ignored, long enough for you and me.
All the noise fell out of sight,
like the room learned how to listen.
This was the first breath of always, taken before we knew its name. A second held between two lives, where nothing else remained. This was the first breath of always, soft as truth and just as brave.
Old frames shaking on the walls, strings of time pulled tight then loose. Every past began to fold into the future we would choose.
No directions, no return, just a step we didn't question. This was the first breath of always, before the years could intervene. The start of something wordless, clearer than a promise seen. This was the first breath of always, where we became what we
as life will do. Crowds return, the silence broke, but somewhere still between those frames, always quietly learned to breathe.
Long halls, familiar light, footsteps echo left and right. Every road we took alone quietly led us home.
So many hellos before, so many almost left behind. Time kept knocking at the door, waiting for the right design.
All the distance learned its end. The moment you reach for my hand, this is where hands finally meet.
After learning how to wait,
Every fear let go its hold.
every doubt arrived too late.
This is where hands finally meet. Not to promise, just to stay. No witnesses carved in stone,
No perfect words to repeat,
just two lives fully grown, choosing the same heartbeat. All the years fell out of frame as your fingers found my name. This is where hands finally meet.
at the edge of then and now.
Nothing left to chase or prove,
Only how we stand here now.
this is where hands finally meet. And the future learns its shape. If the world begins to rush,
If the days forget this view,
let this touch be kept enough to remind me who I choose. This is where hands finally meet.
not by chance, not by design.
Every step that follows us,
Starts the moment you found mine.
this is where hands finally meet.
And let the rest of life begin. The room resumed its gentle sound. Chairs were moved, the lights grew warm. But somewhere still, without a word, two hands remembered how they formed.
The room leaned in and faded out, like it knew what came next mattered. 1,000 seconds circled round, waiting for one sound to land.
No choir rose, no signs appeared, no sky opened, no lines were crossed. Just a question, soft but clear, and every past I'd ever lost.
The world held still without a cue, as all the noise fell out of view. It was the yes that changed time, not loud, but enough. A single word that rearranged every future touch. It was the yes that changed time, said without fear, without nothing sworn, just a truth we stepped into. It was the yes that changed time, spoken barely above breath. A quiet choice that shifted years from after into next. It was the yes that changed time,
and time agreed to bend.
If the days grow fast and thin, if memory trades sharp for kind, let this sound replay within the yes that redefined time. It was the yes that changed time, not perfect, just real. Every step we take from here still begins with how it felt. It was the yes that changed time and taught the future how to start. The room exhaled, the moment passed, life returned to all its signs. But somewhere still between those frames,
time remembers how we replied. The room was filled yet barely loud, like echoes wrapped in cotton air. Faces blurred into a crowd while something honest waited there. No speeches climbed a silver height, no vows rehearsed a sound divine. Just your breath beside mine, finding rhythm line by line. All the world forgot to speak as silence chose the words we'd keep. This is a promise without noise, no thunder, no applause. A quiet yes between two lives, enough to change the course. This is a promise without noise, no stage, no written sign. Just standing here and knowing your tomorrow will be mine. Old clocks ticked but lost their weight. Moments learned to move aside. Every doubt we used to save laid itself down satisfied. Nothing sworn for others' eyes, only truth we didn't hide. This is a promise without noise, soft as film beneath the grain. All the years ahead of us heard it clearly all the same. This is a promise without noise, not spoken, still complete. If the days grow fast and thin, if life learns louder ways to be, let this quiet pull us in, back to what we chose to mean. This is a promise without noise, not perfect, just enough. Every step that follows us still remembers how we stood. This is a promise without noise, and it keeps on holding us. The room returned to sound and sight. Chairs were moved, the light grew warm, but somewhere still beyond the frame, silence learned our promise Jesus mean?
The day arrived without a sound, like film already set to roll. Familiar faces gathered round, while something new took hold.
No careful words were written down, no script to keep us safe, just the way your hand slowed mine, and time adjusted its pace.
The world kept moving somewhere else as we learned how to remain.
We were held in a quiet forever, not loud enough to break the air. A moment resting on our shoulders, light enough to carry anywhere. We were held in a quiet forever before the noise returned again.
Old rooms listened from their walls.
Every step felt strangely new. All the lives we lived before found their ending here with you. Nothing sacred, nothing sworn, just a truth we didn't name. We were held in a quiet forever, between the heartbeat and the sound. All the years that waited for us finally settled down. If the days grow sharp and fast, if the nights forget this view, let this stillness outlast everything we ever lose. We were held in a quiet forever, not perfect, only real. Every step we take from here still begins with how it feels. We were held in a quiet forever, and learned what staying means.
The room filled back with sound and sight.
Laughter found its place again,
but somewhere still beyond the frame,
forever learn to stay that way.
Late afternoon along the wall, light bending into borrowed time. Two silhouettes began to fall, not touching, just in line. No careful speech, no measured tone, new signs the moment would explain just how the quiet gently showed we'd reach the same place. All the distance lost its road as the room forgot to move. This is when two shadows alive, before the hands decide to try a truth reflected, not announced, drawn by the same light. This is when two shadows align, and time agrees to slow its pace. Oh, days lingered on the floor, led frames we didn't need to name. Every path we walked before now pointed the same way. Nothing promised, nothing claimed, just standing where we stayed. This is when two shadows align, at the edge of sound and sight. Everything you were alone, learn how to combine. This is when two shadows align, and something permanent begins. If the years pass apart, if daylight changes shape and tone, let this outline in the dark remind us we were never alone. This is when two shadows align. It perfect, only true. Every step we take from here still starts with me and you. This is when two shadows align, and choose the same direction. The light moved on and shadows broke. The ruler turned to sound and name. It's somewhere still just out of frame. ain't never quite on landed shade.
The room was moving, faces blurred. Chairs scraped softly on the floor. Somewhere in the shifting sound, I heard my heartbeat pause once more. No grand moment asked for space, no cue to tell us when to stand. Just the way your breathing changed when my fingers found your hand. Everything began to slow, as if the world forgot to go. This is the calm between heartbeats, where the noise can't reach us now. A second longer than a moment, long enough to know somehow. This is the calm between heartbeats, where our lives learned how to align. Old memories line the walls, like film that flickers, fades, then stays. Every version of before quietly stepped out of the way. Nothing promised out loud, nothing lost, nothing found. This is the calm between heartbeats, not silence, just complete. All the years that brought us here finally learned to breathe. This is the calm between heartbeats, before the rhythm starts again. If the days grow sharp and fast, if time refuses to be kind, let this pause be what we pass back and forth between our lives. This is the calm between heartbeats, not forever, just enough. Every step that follows us still remembers how it felt to stop. This is the calm between heartbeats, where we chose to stay. The room returned to sound and pace. Laughter found its way back in, but somewhere still between those frames, the calm continues, settling in.
The room was loud with quiet things, soft shoes, breath, the shifting air. Every sound had learned to wait for something gentle to appear.
No need for words to rise and shine, no careful timing, no display. Just the way your eyes met mine and said enough without a say.
All the noise stepped back in line as something true came forward. This is love spoken softly, not meant to fill the room. A sentence held between two hearts that only they can hear. This is love spoken softly, clearer than a vow aloud.
Old moments gathered at the door, then gently let us pass them by. Every life we lived before laid itself down, satisfied.
Nothing promised to the crowd, only truth we said inside. This is love spoken softly, in a tone the world ignores. All the future learned its shape from what we felt, not what we swore. This is love spoken softly, strong enough to stand alone. If the days begin to rush,
if the nights forget this sound, let this quiet be enough to bring us gently back around.
This is love spoken softly, not perfect, only real. Every step that follows us still begins with how we feel. This is love spoken softly, and it keeps on being heard. The room returned to sound and sight. Laughter found its way again. But somewhere still beyond the frame, love continues, speaking low. Dust in the light along the stairs, a door half open, voices near. Every step we took to hear, learned how to disappear.
No signal given, no marked line, no moment dressed to be profound. Just how your shadow crossed with mine and settled on the ground.
All the years fell out of view, like film that skips then finds its truth. We were dust in the light of us, floating where the silence stays. Every past let go its weight in that unguarded space. We were dust in the light of us, not meant to last, yet somehow did. Old rooms exhaled, the air stood still. Time softened at the edges there. Every life we lived until became enough to share. Nothing asked, nothing owed, just standing where the future slowed. We were dust in the light of us, caught between the now and then. All the roads that missed their turn quietly came in. We were dust in the light of us, how small things stay. If the days grow loud and fast, if the nights forget this view, let this fragile second last long enough to carry you. We were dust in the light of us, not perfect, only true. Every step that follows on still begins with me and you. We were dust in the light of us, and the light knew what to do. The dust fell back, the room moved on, footsteps filled the air again, but somewhere still inside that glow, us continues unafraid. A camera road without a sound, light leaks softly through the day. Every face moved in and out, but somehow you and I both stay. No cue was given, no reason, no moment just to be profound. Just the way your shadow met the place my future settled down. All the motions slipped away as time forgot to change the frame. This is a frame that never fades. I've frozen just a light, a second held between two birds. Everything around. This is a fate even as the film runs on. Old scenes flickered and released, like dust erased by gentle light. Every road we didn't keep finally stepped out of sight. Nothing promised, nothing sworn, just the truth we split inside. This is a frame that never fades. At the edge of that enough, all the years that led us here, when what they were for so high. This is a flame that never fades, where we became what we are. If the days will run too fast, if memory trades sharp for kind, Let this image outlast every doubt we leave behind. This is a frame that never fades, not perfect, only real. Every step that follows us still begins with how it feels. This is a flame that never fades. In time I breathe to keep it real. Moved on, the light goes thin, voices fill the room again, but somewhere still just out of sight, that frame remains unchanged. Morning light through worn-out glass, footsteps finding borrowed ground. Every second learned to pass without explaining how. No grand title, no first line, no cue to tell us where to stand. Just the way your shadow found the edge of my open hand. All the years grew quiet then, like film before the sound comes in. This is our story in soft grain, not sharp enough to fade. 1,000 moments lightly held, never perfectly arranged. This is our story in soft grain, still playing as the reel goes on. Old scenes flickered on the wall, laughter blurred then settled down. Every road we didn't choose let go without a sound. Nothing promised for the crowd, just a truth we stood around. This is our story in soft grain, written quietly in light. All the past we carried here finally feels just right. This is our story in soft grain, where the future finds its tone. If the years grow fast and loud, if memory learns to bend, let this frame remind us how we always found our way back in. This is our story in soft grain, not perfect, only ours. Every step that follows us still begins where we are now. This is our story in soft grain, and it keeps unfolding. The room fills back with sound and air, voices find their pace again, but somewhere still inside that glow, our story keeps its gentle frame.